Hello, you splendiferous little marketing bees. You're tuned into episode 48 of the Marketing Buzzword Podcast.
This is the Marketing Buzzword Podcast, the podcast where we dissect the world's most common marketing buzzwords. Hold on tight. We are about to fly around the beehive to see the latest buzzwords that stuck to the marketing bees.
Hello and welcome to the bite-sized section of the Marketing Buzzword Podcast and project, aptly named Bitesize Buzzword. I'm Ben Roberts, and in these bite-sized, snackable episodes, I'm going to help you dive deeper into what a specific marketing buzzword actually means, help you decide whether it is or isn't important for your business, and if it is, how you can actually incorporate that buzzword into your marketing strategy. Now this week we're going to look at the marketing buzzword Conversational Commerce, and why it's suddenly such a big deal. So in this episode we're going to actually look at defining what conversational commerce is in a really simple way. We'll look at some of the barriers and common errors that people make around conversational commerce. We'll look at a lot of the advantages around it, and actually then how you potentially implement a conversational commerce strategy, or generally include it in your marketing mix. So, conversational commerce was sort of coined by a guy called Chris Messina, who is an exec for Uber, and it essentially looks at transactions through conversational channels, and it looks at using messaging channels in order to convert more customers into sales. So this is things like Facebook Messenger, Amazon Alexa, Google Home, WhatsApp, WeChat, Apple Business Chat, SMSs, Line. Oh god, there are so many things. It doesn't even include the ones that you can actually embed within a website itself. But it's basically the idea of having automated conversations within messenger platforms that allows you to convert more customers and conversations into commerce, essentially sales. Now, I think I'm going to go straight into some of the advantages of this now. There's one thing I actually do need to say about what it is. It's all automated. So it looks at things like chatbots and artificial intelligence in order to make decisions and in order to inform customers about what they're looking for. So it helps the machine basically learns, and it helps provide the right answer, the most appropriate answer to the question that the customer is asking. And there are some huge advantages of that. It's really efficient. I mean, when you ask a question of a chatbot or an artificially enhanced chatbot, you'll get an answer back quickly. Sometimes that will lead to some errors, which I'll cover in a little bit. It's pretty damn efficient. If you ask a question, literally within seconds, you've got an answer. Whereas if a human was potentially having to reply, you'd potentially be waiting on some time to be able for them to reply. It helps streamline things. The idea is your customers are choosing to have conversations with you in a single platform. Now that single platform is streamlined then, because essentially they can ask questions, you can make sales, you can do all your customer service, all within a single platform, through a single agent, for example, potentially depending on the size of the business. It keeps everything really streamlined and neat. So instead of having to throw people around from agent to agent, keep them all through a single platform, and it really enhances that customer experience. Personalized as well. Each conversation is unique. Yes, you can put in potentially some stock answers, but you're giving unique answers depending on what the people have asked. And that's still a nice way of doing things. Personalization is huge. I mean, even if it is done by a chatbot or some artificial intelligence, it is still important. And it's brilliant for on-the-go customers. The convenience, the speed. Customers love it and love using these conversational platforms because it allows them to multitask. We're in a world of multitasking these days. I mean, how many times you've actually watched TV without either your phone in your hand, your laptop on your lap, your iPad there. People are multitasking. They like to do several things at the same time. Why would you sit there and actually have a phone conversation with someone? Because then you can't focus on anything else. Whereas actually you can have a chat in the background and maybe even take your time. It allows you to multitask, and for customers, that's an incredible benefit. And that is something that if it benefits customers, it's going to benefit you as a business. And customers are already familiar with the system. This is a really important point. So you don't have to teach them something completely new. They already use these messaging platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger as examples. I use them all the time on pretty much a daily basis. So if that company started talking to me on those channels, it's fine because I know we know how to do that. You're not forced them to learn new systems, new channels, or what does this mean, what does that mean? Everything is really quite clear and straightforward. And also, and then another advantage, and this is one that I really love, is that you can get sometimes more context on why the person, customer, user is actually calling you, especially if this sort of artificial intelligence is plugged into a website, or you want to provide conversational commerce options through your website, because you're able to transfer more data through the web than you would be through a normal PSTN call. So when you have that more data, you provide a better quality of service. You're able to provide more advice on the holiday they may want, or potentially a better way of doing things. That is an incredible advantage. You get so much more data, and that data really helps inform your decision making. Now, there are some potential drawbacks to this. It can be quite timely, maybe, or not very time efficient to set up. Some would argue differently. It really depends. The benefits, I guess, of it is you're not training humans. You're training a chatbot, and obviously then once you've taught it that, it's generally seen as more reliable in terms of not making repeat mistakes. That's a matter that I'm happy to argue with people over. Well, not really, because I'm still a little bit skeptical myself. But it could be the fact that accents in there. If you have an area of strict of quite distinctive accents, sometimes it'd be quite difficult for certain platforms to pick up, and certain chatbots to be able to understand, especially if you're using the VoIP stuff. If it's text based, you haven't really got a problem with that. However, with more artificial intelligence being inserted into these chatbots, we are seeing that becoming less of a problem. The only other real disadvantage that I'm seeing of conversational commerce at the moment is that bots can be a little bit limited. By that, I mean, actually, if they haven't been coded the right way, they haven't been given the right answers or the right equipment, then they are limited, and people ask questions that they aren't expecting. If they're not sort of constantly training, learning and updating, they can quite easily become obsolete and become a bit of a hindrance to sales. So it's something you've got to keep a constant eye on and make sure that you're always learning, always training, adding new things, because as soon as people start asking questions that it can't handle, it then starts spouting some potential rubbish which is actually more harmful than good, and I've seen that a few times. But I think the next part is how to implement, and I think it's really important. So we're looking at sort of 4 different ways you can implement it, and it's sort of a proactive automated example for that. So imagine like a customer makes their first purchase ever, and then the next day you'd get an automatic message from the store that thanks them for shopping at that store. It's something that's not being requested it's not something that's being requested of the customer, but it's something that you could potentially do. Now, you obviously have to check with some of this stuff whether they've opted in for legislation like GDPR, for example. But it's something that you'd be really proactive, and it's automated. It's just there, and it's just putting out there, and it's those little things that can make a difference. An extra touch point, some extra, that's nice, because it's not everyone's doing it. Now, you could also be reactive and automated. Okay, so for example, a customer has just bought a new camera, and it's not working. It's just one of those things. So they send a shop a message asking for assistance. Now, essentially, this is what is generally seen quite often in customer service circles. Is essentially they ask a question, the chatbot comes back with the best, most appropriate response. And this is where you say you have to be really careful, and where there's some of those errors pop up is because if you haven't coded this properly, you haven't got the right answers in there or potential answers in there for the bot to make the right choice or learn how to answer, then you can potentially make errors. But that's essentially what it is you wait till a customer sends you a message complaining something, asking something, and then you respond. Proactive versus reactive, but both automated. Now you got manual, which is like almost like one-to-many. So this is like outreaching again. So a shop just opened sort of 10 new locations, and they want to notify people in the nearby areas. You can send out a custom message to a targeted segment of customers that live within an X mile radius. That is something that's potentially possible because you can do that through some of these platforms, the data that's available. Again, be careful that make sure that data is correct and you have the right permissions to be able to use that data. I'm going to stress that again because what I don't want people to do is come to me and say, oh, you said I could email and message everyone. No, just please check with things. But it is something that you can possibly do. You could also do one-on-one, again, completely manual, so we're not talking automated again. It's basically a thank you message, a coupon to someone who just messaged you, had a conversation, shared something on social media, was asking a random question online. You can able to send those sort of messages, so it's really personal, really direct, and really informative. It's providing help, or it's thanking people, because people like to be thanked. People like to be appreciated. If people see that you're thanking, liking them, it shows that you're valuing them as a customer. Even if it is potentially automated, that's damn sight more than a lot of companies do. So I think it's a powerful marketing strategy. I think you should look into more conversational commerce principles, and there are so many great tools out there that can really help you. And again, I'm not going to go mention them in this podcast. That's just not what I do. But I have got a couple in mind. So if you are interested, please do drop me an email, ben@ben-m-roberts.com, or follow me on some sort of social media, and I'll give you any help that I can. Thank you so much for listening. Slightly shorter than a normal episode, but I really wanted to sort of just get straight to the point on this one. If you haven't already pre-ordered a copy of my book, I think today is the last day of that, so please pre-order a copy of the Marketing Buzzword to Marketing Authority today. And that's like the 31st of August. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to be back on Monday with another cool episode for you. Goodbye.
This podcast is part of the You Are the Media Network.